N71 access route to West Cork. The Deputy has 4 minutes.
Thank you, Lascan Corla, and I appreciate the opportunity to raise this issue here in the House today under topical issues. Regrettably, topical, if you look up the word, what's the meaning of topical? It means current, an issue that's current. But this has been an issue that is more than current. It's current presently, but it was also current back in the early 90s and every decade since, and indeed before that. And during the time of the boom and the so-called Celtic Tiger, when there was up to €13 billion invested in road upgrade works throughout the country, West Cork was for some reason left behind. So that's the reason I'm bringing it up here again today, is to focus it back on the agenda and to ensure we get attention to this matter. In 2008, I was the chairman of the Western Committee of Cork County Council, and I led a delegation of my colleagues that time and some officials from the council to the NRA offices, where we sought assurances from the NRA that they would prioritise the upgrading of the N71. 2008, of course, was a different country to where we are now, and unfortunately we still are in the same position in West Cork, with little or no investment have been put into the N71 during this time. West Cork, if we are to ensure its survival into the future, we have to ensure that investment can happen. And while job creation is beginning and the numbers are looking good, a lot of the job creation that's happening down in Cork is happening in Cork City, and a lot of the younger people have to traverse up to Cork. But if we want to ensure a vibrant future for West Cork, we have to make sure that businesses can grow and that jobs can be created in West Cork, and to do that we have to be able to access it. Unfortunately, the rail line was closed down many decades ago. We recently had some very regrettable developments in access by sea, when the Cork-Swansea ferry route also was closed, and the airport numbers, of course, have been stagnant or reducing over the last 10 years. So really the only access to West Cork is the N71. It is the only road into and out of West Cork. It is a primary secondary route, and I want to ensure that this government puts as a political priority the upgrade of the N71 to ensure the survival and the future of West Cork is kept. I know the Minister in his response will refer to Section 19 of the Roads Act and the changes to that Act, which gave this function to the NRA to decide what are the priorities for upgrading roads. But what I would like to ask the Minister is to clarify what role we as elected representatives have when it comes to ensuring what is a priority for the NRA. I am aware of the standard answers I've been getting from the Minister heretofore as regard what input we can have, but I would like some further clarity on we as the elected members who decide what taxes are to be collected, who go out there and stand over the unpopular decisions like property taxes and such like. I would like that we would have more accountability from the state agencies who are spending this money, and that we would have more of an input into the priorities afforded by these monies. I'd also ask the Minister if he would clarify for me that why the NRA over the period of 2000 to 2009 spent $13 billion, and this was a subject actually of in November 2009 to a private member's motion here in the House led by Fergus O'Dowd at the time for more accountability from the NRA. Why during this period and that amount of massive investment, why West Cork was never on their radar? The last serious investment in West Cork began in 1998 when 1.1 kilometres of single carriageway was built around the town of Skibbereen, and since that time there has been absolutely zero investment other than maintenance on the N71, but no effort whatsoever to upgrade it. So I would ask the Minister if he would get that clarity for me why there was no investment in the N71 for that period. And finally, will the Minister give me an understanding and an undertaking in the House today that at the very least the upgrade of the N71 in West Cork will be a political priority, because regrettably previous administrations chose, for whatever reason, not to have the N71 and the upgrade of it as a political priority. So I would take great comfort if the Minister would give me an assurance that it would become a political priority for this administration.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. You have 4 minutes.
I want to thank Deputy Daly for this question and thank him for raising this issue, which I will be answering on behalf of my colleague, Minister Riker. The Government's policy in relation to the funding of capital projects 2016, including the development of road links, is set out in the Infrastructure and Capital Investment 2012-2016 Medium-Term Exchequer Framework. Due to the overall reduction in funding for transport infrastructure, the priority to 2016 is to protect investment met to date and to maintain safety standards, and I'm sure everyone appreciates that that should be a priority. As the Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport, Minister Varadkar has overall responsibility for policy and funding in relation to the National Roads Programme. The planning, design and implementation of individual road projects is, as the Deputy has correctly pointed out, a matter for the NRA under the Roads Acts of 2007 and before that 1993, in conjunction with the local authorities concerned. Furthermore, within its capital budget, the assessment and prioritisation of individual national roads projects such as the N71 is a matter in the first instance for the NRA in accordance with Section 19 of the Roads Act. Given the heavily reduced budgets in transport, the priority now for exchequer funds has to be maintenance of the existing network, which is of itself a struggle. Other than a number of public-private partnership projects which are being progressed under the Government's July 12 stimulus package, no major exchequer-funded projects are scheduled to go to construction over the next few years. The NRA has a budget of £155.9 million for improvement and maintenance works on the National Roads Network in 2014. The reality is that the available funds do not match the amount of work required. This is regrettable. For this reason, it is not possible to progress a range of worthwhile projects. Overall, the NRA has allocated in excess of £12 million to Cork County Council in 2014 for various national road projects and works. These projects include £15,000 under the Minor Works Programme for a pedestrian crossing on the N71 in Bandon and £450,000 for pavement and minor works on the N71 Abbey to Square in Bantry. While it is the case for now, funding constraints mean that the development of routes such as the N71 has had to be deferred to the improvement of the national routes remains a longer-term objective of this government. As regards future funding under the next capital programme, the aim will be to develop a balanced package of measures covering infrastructure maintenance, safety schemes and targeted development projects across the transport sector for inclusion in the next capital programme. Of course, the actual composition of such a package will depend on the level of funding available. The Deputy has asked a number of questions in relation to this. I will bring all those questions, obviously, within the Department and within to the NRA. Specifically, I have to say, I know the N71 very well, as the Deputy knows. I've had to traverse it many times. And it does, I take on board the Deputy's point in relation to Cork and funding through the NRA down through the previous decade as regards the level of funding to Cork or vis-à-vis other places in comparison. And it's a very fair point, and it's something that I will reflect through the Department and through the NRA. And it's something that if you don't get an answer from the NRA within a couple of weeks' time, please do come back to me, because I'll be putting that question forward to them as you requested on your behalf. As regards it being a political priority, that is a matter for Minister Varadkar, but as you're aware, I will make sure that he gets to know your concerns in relation to the issue. And responsibility for this, as you have outlined in your own contribution, does lie within the NRA. The prioritising of projects does, under a section of that, lie with the NRA as well. However, having said that, the NRA is an agency that is responsible to the Department of Transport and obviously has to take on board the Department of Transport's thinking and obviously the Minister's thinking. So I would encourage you to continue with your campaign in relation to the N71. It's not the first time you've raised it, and I congratulate you for continuously doing so, because it is a road that does need work on. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy, you have 2 minutes for a supplementary statement.
Thank you. Can I just thank the Minister, first of all, for coming into the House and taking the issue, and secondly, for he has shown a very good understanding, a very clear understanding, and I appreciate that you do know the road and that you understand the frustration of those of us. It is a single carriageway route into the heart of West Cork. We are very reliant on visitors and tourists. We are also very reliant on investment, like every other area is. But it is very frustrating when I go and tell the people that, look, in the times of plenty, there was no development here. There was no progress made. And as I say, 1998 was the last time when 1.1 kilometre of carriageway was upgraded. Since that, there has been absolutely no investment. And it is, I don't think it's right and proper that I, as a public representative with a mandate from the people, go back to the people that I represent, that I have the honour of representing, and say to them, I'm sorry, it is the NRA decides where the money goes, and it's at the mercy of them whether the people of West Cork get a decent road or not. I'm their public representative. I am the person, as I said in my original contribution, that has gone out and and supported all the measures, many of them unpopular, to raise increased taxes to get our finances right. I appreciate that our finances are still in a very perilous state, and just because we're out of the grasp of the Troika, we still don't have autonomy in what we can do. But as we start to move into an area where capital budgets will improve and increase, I want to get an assurance from the Department, from the Minister and from the NRA that the N71 will become a priority, and that the wrongs of the past 2 decades underneath successive governments can be righted, and that finally the people of West Cork will be given an assurance that as monies come to play and come into hand, that the N71 will be a priority to upgrade to ensure the survival of West Cork. As I say, the competing needs on that road, you have cyclists leading the charge, some days followed by cars, followed by a bus, by a lorry. You can have a tractor, you can have them all on a single carriageway holding up the entire area, and it is very frustrating, and it is time that we ensure that. But look, I appreciate very much what the Minister has done, that he'll take on board my concerns. I will continue to liaise with Minister Radcliffe as well, Minister Kelly's colleague. I appreciate you taking to the Department on my part and to the NRA, and any answers I get I will be very grateful for.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. You have 2 minutes for a reply.
The Deputy has raised this issue on a number of occasions, and he's right to do so. I know the road quite well. I'm very familiar with the Deputy's constituency, certainly some parts of his constituency in particular, and often visiting Gorty Clooney, as you know only too well, down in Bantry. But the NRA do have a responsibility. However, I do take on board your point in relation, and very well made, in relation to the prioritisation of projects, the role of the NRA vis-à-vis the department. And as a public representative, you're absolutely right in relation to the changes that have had to be made from a taxation point of view, and taxpayers do get frustrated. I know only too well myself in relation to Tipperary. I will raise these issues with the NRA as regards this road. In the short term, Deputy, you are well aware that there will be no solution to this in the very immediate short term. However, there will be a capitals programme into the years to come, and who knows from that aspect as regards road projects, if there will be roads projects, and if there are, how will they be prioritised, etc. But I'll refer all of those to Minister Radcliffe as well, who has responsibility for the roads programme. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.